One. There it is.
What up, ladies and gents? Happy Wednesday. It is hump day.
Hump day.
All right, we're going to be talking about building a business and what does it take to acquire customers? Maybe lead gen, maybe podcasting. Who knows? Let's find out.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Wednesday fire intro for you. Here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been such an awesome week so far, and it is just heating up right here on the Business Bros. Today's guest is a serial entrepreneur and fellow podcaster. Having built success over and over again, his current company is a marvel to behold. He has founded and now oversees technology-driven companies in at least 3 industries, with projects spanning countless others. The success he's found in his companies have placed him in a unique position to be regularly cited in national media outlets as an advisor, consultant, coach, and board member. Our guest today has so much wisdom and knowledge to share that he learned from his podcast, where he's interviewed over 300 CEOs, founders, athletes, celebrities, and influencers on his show. We know that we're going to have a learning and being inspired by our guest today. So without any further introduction, joining us from the Vos Group and the 30-Minute Mentors podcast, welcome to the show, Adam Mendler.
Adam, welcome to the program, my friend.
Wow, James Hernan, my God, thank you for that intro. Thanks for having me. I've got to tell you, with all that fire in the background, I'm even happier than I was 10 minutes ago that I blasted the AC, because otherwise I'd just be burning right now. But thank God I've got good AC in here.
Oh, man, dude.
Otherwise I'd be ripping my shirt off, because that was
right.
fire.
That
All right,
only
you can go Hulk Hogan. It's cool.
Hulk Hogan, and it only really
I
works
probably
if
would have done that before quarantine. I don't know. Now that I'm doing the Beachbody workouts now, but I miss going to the gym and really lifting heavy weights. So I don't know that I'm really ready to rip my shirt off right now.
Talking about some P90X.
I'm actually doing P90X. So yeah, I'm
nice.
I've got 2 weeks left in my P90X routine, so I'm at like day 75 right now. So.
Oh, I miss working with Tony, man. You can do anything for seconds. I love that guy.
Tony Horton has been my quarantine buddy, so I've probably spent more time with Tony Horton during this quarantine than with anyone.
I tell people all the time, when you don't have the weights, when you don't have, okay, so with P90X there are some weights that you can use, but as long as you got a pull-up bar, you're pretty set. You can still do a lot of the activities that he does. And dude, they are tough. I remember doing push-ups, that whole push-up sequence in that video series. Oh my gosh. I went into a gym thinking I was cool after doing the whole series, and I didn't have a pull-up bar. I didn't have weights at home. So when I got to the gym, I did that whole series, and I remember walking out of the gym, and as soon as the cold air hit me, like I started to black out and I puked. Like that is how hard I ended up working out that day. I'd never done anything, so difficult in my life. So, kudos to you for doing that P90X stuff. That's hard stuff right there.
Man, I've got 2 weeks left, and I've been thinking about what's next, because when I first started doing Beachbody, I started with a different program, and this is the second Beachbody program I've done. I didn't really like the first program. So I thought, what's the best home workout? What's the mother of all workouts, as Tony Horton would say? And apparently it's P90X. So let's just do that one. And now that I'm up at close to 90 days, I don't know what's next. I'm probably just going to do it again. You guys are
I was going to say, yeah, just do it again.
Have you tried Insanity?
I haven't, but Insanity, from what I understand, is more about getting lean and losing weight. And I'm naturally a pretty lean guy. I'm the guy who needs to lift heavy weights to maintain and add muscle. So
Mhm.
I'm looking for the muscle building stuff, and P90X was the closest thing I could find to like a full body intense workout that allows you to at least maintain a good level of muscle mass. So as of now, I'm leaning toward just repeating it for another 90 days.
All right, I can feel you. I can feel you on that one for sure. It was insanity is very very cardio intense. It is definitely a hard workout, but you're right. P90X will bulk you up a little bit more. Well, let me ask you this: how when are you working out during the day? Are you working out in the mornings? Or are you working out in the afternoons? When are you putting in the workout?
Yeah, I really prefer to work out in the mornings. That's the ideal time for me to do it. If I don't work out in the mornings, it's really tough. The nice thing about P90X is it gives you a level of accountability that
Mm-hmm.
even when you are a workout guy, you don't necessarily have when you are used to going to the gym because it gives you a schedule, it gives you a routine. So no matter how routinized you are, it's a nice thing to have. I love doing it in the mornings. I would say that probably about 80% of the time I get it in the mornings. If I don't, I push myself and force myself to do it at the end of the workday.
That's a
Nice.
tough one. I think personally the end of the workday is a little bit tougher.
Really tough.
My morning routine is my workout time. So I'm up at like 4:20 in the morning. I get myself ready. I start and it's not a heavy intense workout. I do 200 push-ups, 200 ab like sit-ups or crunches type stuff. And then I go on a 3 mile run. Like that's the extent of my workout, and it's about an hour or so that I get in the morning, but it helps me get ready for like the rest of my day. You know what I mean? Like I feel like in this morning, for example, and yesterday morning, I mean, I don't think I ever have a morning where I wake up and I'm like, yes, time to wake up and go on with my day. But after my workout, I
Hmm.
do feel like that. I do feel like I'm ready to take on the day. Like I have a clear vision of what I want to accomplish. Maybe it's, a little bit of meditation while you run, but it helps me prepare for what the day will bring. And I feel like I got more energy because I am in better shape than before when I was sluggish. I'd sit on the couch. I wouldn't do anything. What's it been like for you? And I don't know your history, if you've been working out for a long time or not, but how do you think it relates to you and what you do in your day-to-day, your productivity?
Yeah, I have been working out for a long time. I've been working out my whole life. So when I was a little kid, I played a ton of sports. I was always very physically active. And I was the captain of my baseball team in high school. We were probably the worst baseball team in the history of baseball and definitely the worst baseball team in the history of high school. But I love playing sports and I played
Sounds familiar,
football.
doesn't it?
Yeah. I was in the same boat, man. I completely understand where that's coming from. Well, not so much baseball. We weren't the worst team in baseball, but in football for sure. I don't think we won a game ever since I was in that high school.
Tell me about it, man. I've been there with you. But, I played football with my buddies and basketball. So growing up, I was always very physically active. And I started getting into lifting weights when I was in college. So my sophomore year of college was when I learned about pumping iron. And I loved it. I love lifting weights. I love working out. And I've been doing it for years and years and years. And this quarantine period is really my first extensive amount of time away from the gym. And the first week or so, outside of being able to go to gyms, I was like, I don't know, what do I do? And I started doing pull ups and push ups and not the same. So I realized I needed to get on some kind of more intense program because at the end of the day, Hernan, like you said, to those of us who are used to having some kind of physical activity that we incorporate into our daily routine, it's a game changer. I can tell you that on days that I don't work out, I don't have that same level of energy. I don't have that same level of fire. And
Mm-hmm.
even on scheduled rest days, you're not supposed to work out every day. It's not good for you. You
Mm-hmm.
need to rest and heal your body and let it recover. But on days I don't work out, I just don't have that same level of energy. I
Yeah,
love
100%.
the morning workouts, and clearly you do too. And I interview so many successful people, and being physically active is such a vital role essential and such an important part of the daily routines of just about anyone who is enjoying any level of success.
Well, let's do a little bit of let's pivot a little bit. You've been doing
By the way,
podcasting for a while.
I don't like cutting people off, but come on, guys. I mean, friends, really?
We got all kinds of stuff, man. We got all kinds of stuff.
Friends? No, I'll tell you this. For me, anytime I meet someone who says that Friends is better than Seinfeld, which it's a very specific demographic that would ever say that. And a couple of girls I've gone out with one time over the years, because I would never go out with someone twice who would ever say that Friends is better than Seinfeld.
It was cut off right there.
Let alone be friends with them. So, I'm excited.
He went there.
When I saw that, I was like, my God, really? David Schwimmer? Come on, seriously. Let's get Kramer. Let's get George. Let's get Newman. But
all right, fair enough.
We had no Seinfeld clips.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Now you got me thinking. I have 0 Seinfeld clips, and I should at least have. I should at least have No Soup for You. I should at least have that, right?
The guy's a legend. Totally.
You're right. All right, that's it. We got to get some of those. Some of those clips got to be on the show for sure. So, Adam, tell me a little bit about your podcast. What you said you interviewed a bunch of people. Like, tell me a little bit about the premise of your show and how you got into podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. So the show is called 30-Minute Mentors. Every week I go one-on-one with one of the most successful and prominent people in the country on how they got to the top, and more importantly, on how listeners can get to the top as well. So my guests are founders and CEOs of some of the best known companies in America. Gold's Gin, Barry's Boot Camp, Kayak, Square, Campbell's Soup, FanDuel, and the list goes on and on.
Wow.
And many, many more in the pipeline. A lot of well-known athletes. David Robinson was on my podcast last week, NBA Hall of Famer. Terrell Davis, NFL Hall of Famer, was on the podcast.
Nice.
Rick Barry, NBA legend. A lot of celebrities, Ryan Tedder, Rob Lowe was on the podcast, Suzanne Summers, military leaders, General Martin Dempsey, Admiral Jim Stavridis. And the idea really is to bring on the most successful and accomplished people. And in 30 minutes, walk through how they got to the top and to really cull the best advice that they can bring to listeners who are interested in learning how to become more successful personally, how to become more successful professionally. And my job is to try to pack in as much as we possibly can into 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. So how do you do that? And I'm wondering, because after interviewing so many people, you develop a skill for conducting an interview, right? How to pull those types of questions out, how to dig a little bit deeper, how to ask those types of questions. What do you have a process or maybe an outline that you use when you talk to them? Any like pre-interview scripts? Like if you can help people become better podcast hosts, how do you prepare to interview somebody like that?
Yeah, great question. And the best advice I can give is advice from the great coach, John Wooden. And I met John Wooden a long time ago. I was a little kid when I met him at a UCLA basketball game. And John Wooden has had so many unbelievable words of wisdom. But one of his great lines is prepare. I'm going to botch it now that I'm quoting it. But failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And what it comes down to is preparation. You need to, no matter what you're doing, whether you're podcasting, whether you're a student taking an exam, whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur trying to understand how to be in the most successful position possible, or an employee, preparation leads to success. Talk about professional athletes. Kobe Bryant, everyone likes to talk about Mamba mentality, but how much of Kobe's success was the fact that when all the other players in the Lakers were out partying, Kobe was in practicing. And
Mhm.
you could say the same for MJ. You could say the same for all the all-time greats. And not to compare myself to those guys by any means, but it's really important that no matter what you want to do, regardless of what your craft is, that you come prepared, that you come ready, and that you bring it. Because there are days that you don't come prepared. I certainly have had episodes where I haven't had the time to prepare as thoroughly as I would like, and I'll wing it. And I don't know if listeners can tell the difference, but I certainly can. And when that happens to you, you take a step back and say, man, I really need to make sure that I am as prepared as possible.
How often are you are you putting out an episode? How often are you doing an interview? And like based on your scheduling now, what are some of your preparation techniques? What do you look for? I mean, a lot of these people that you've mentioned have so many accolades. How do you decide which one you want to focus your attention on, or which part of their life is most valuable to your listeners?
Yeah, Hernan, you asked a few questions there, and they're all great questions. So I'm going to try to answer all of them. And if there are any that I forget to answer, feel free to re-ask. But I release an episode every week. So 30 Minute Mentors is a weekly podcast. I launched it in January. As of today's recording, there are 34 episodes on the air. This week's guest is Gary Nessner, who is the former chief hostage negotiator for the FBI. Not sure if you guys saw the show Waco. It was one of the most popular shows on Netflix, top 10 Netflix show, and it was modeled after Gary Nessner's experience negotiating with David Koresh and the Branch Davidians, and with his experience negotiating with his superiors at the FBI. Michael Shannon played Gary Nessner on screen, so got the opportunity to interview Gary and talk to him about Waco and talk to him about his best lessons learned from 30 years as an FBI hostage negotiator, leading some of the most high-stakes, high-profile hostage negotiations that have ever taken place. So we do it once a week, and you asked some other really good questions that I now forgot. So can you re-ask them, please?
Yeah. Well, before we get into those other questions, I wanted to know basically when you bring somebody on, when you're doing your show prep and you're preparing, the people that you talk to have so many different accolades, so many different accomplishments in their life. How do you hone in? Which one do you hone in on so that your listeners get the most value?
That's a great question. What I try to do is I try to put myself in the shoes of my listeners. I try to think about who would a broad audience of listeners find to be extremely valuable? Who do I believe can bring an extremely impactful set of pieces of advice to the table? And the criteria that I use is I look for people who are leaders or former leaders of household name companies. So founders, CEOs of companies that all of us have heard of. I mentioned a few of them. But what's a company that gives you the credibility that you're someone to listen to? You are the founder of Kayak. You are the founder of Square. That gives you some credibility. You are the CEO of Campbell Soup. That gives you some credibility. That's what I look for. You're a 4-star or 3-star general or admiral. That makes you a leader to listen to. Those are the people who I'm trying to bring to audiences all across America.
So, Adam, why podcasting? Whoa, I'm getting some feedback now. Why podcasting of all things? There's a number of different ways that you can promote yourself. There's a number of different ways to build a business. What prompted you to get into the podcast space?
A really good question, Hernan. So before I launched 30 Minute Mentors, I wanted to do this for a while. But as an entrepreneur, as someone who has quite a few other commitments, I never really was able to carve out the time and really give myself the space to go ahead and do this. But over the years, I've done a lot of media work. I've created another interview series called Lessons in Leadership, where I've interviewed over 350 really successful CEOs, founders, celebrities, athletes, influencers. And that series is in written form, so it's 1,000 to 2,000 words. It's great for someone who wants to take 5 minutes and grab a couple of snippets and pieces of advice that can really help you become a better leader. But I wanted to take that and take it to the next level, bring a level of richness and bring a level of impact to as broad an audience as I could. And I felt that turning this into a podcast was the way to do it. What I really wanted to do, guys, is I wanted to give as broad an audience of people as possible access to the best network of mentors out there. And that's what I'm doing through 30-Minute Mentors.
So right on.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, kind of going back to your last question, who do I bring onto the show? I bring people onto the show who I believe have the ability to serve as incredible mentors to my listeners. Who are my listeners? My listeners range from college students to incredibly successful CEOs and leaders of all types of organizations.
So how have you enjoyed being in the podcast space? What do you see the future of your show happening as far as, where you want to take it? Is it going to be something that you use as a tool for business? Is it going to be something that you use as a networking tool? Where do you see the future of your podcast?
It's a great question, Hernan. And it's actually something that I literally, earlier today, I've got a few interns who are working for me this fall, and I was talking to them about the podcasting industry and was breaking down all the different reasons why people start podcasts and explain to them that there are over 1 million podcasts right now, and different people start podcasts for different reasons. Some of them podcasts because they like having their voices heard. Some of them podcasts because they want to network. Some of them podcasts for this reason, for that reason. I'm trying to make a difference. I'm trying to make an impact. I'm trying to add value to as many lives as I can through 30-Minute Mentors. And I aspire to continue to do that. I hope to grow it. I hope to scale it to whatever degree possible. I hope to impact as many listeners as I can through this platform.
So are you going to add video anytime soon, or is it going to remain strictly audio?
Does anyone really want to look at me? Come on. I know you can't really, my lighting's bad now, so no one can really see me. But if you could, does anyone really want to see? Come on.
Well, you know what though? I mean, here's the thing, right? So everybody has different learning modalities, right? There's different ways that we all learn. Some of us want to watch a YouTube video. Some of us want to listen to a podcast audio. Some of us want to pick up and read a book or a blog post. And for me, it's been one of those things where if I can give you a video portion, even if you have to stare at my ugly mug the whole time, or a little while, it's just a different way for them to receive the content. Because I know the only reason I really ask is because you said you want to make a difference, right? And you want to make an impact. And usually, if that's the case, you want to give people the opportunity to receive the message the way they want to receive it. And so it's just fruit for thought. I don't know. I mean, is it if not, is it one of those technical issues like where you're like, oh, you know what? I don't really know how to do it, but I would do it if I knew how. Or is it just I don't want to do it. It's not my thing. I don't want to get in front of a camera.
Well, no, in my case, the reason why I haven't done video is because it kind of connects to an earlier answer I gave about starting this podcast. I was really motivated to just get this going. I was talking about doing it for a long time. I probably spent a year talking about, and maybe not even with other people, but internally saying to myself that this is my concept. I want to create a show where I do 30-minute interviews with the most successful people in the country, yada, yada, yada. And this is what I'm going to do. And And I knew I could do it. It was really just a matter of carving out the place in my life to do it. And once I made the commitment to do it, at that point, it became a question of how do I pull this off? How do I make this happen? And you then set deadlines for yourself. So I said, I'm going to be recording interviews by November of 2019, period. By November of 2019, there will be interviews recorded. By January of 2020, the show will be launched. Give yourself hard dates. And I can tell you there were tons of obstacles along the way that made those dates seem, I won't even say unrealistic, seem impossible. But you push through them, you power through them. And I understood pretty early on in the process that one of the ways to ensure that this show not only got on the air as quickly as possible, but got on the air in as professional a way as possible, as quickly as possible, was to focus on audio. By delivering listeners a unbelievably high quality audio experience, I could do this and get it done in the timeline that I set. So that's why I focused on audio and not on video. For me to create, and this is the real reason, for me to create a video podcast that I believe would be of the caliber that I would really want to put out there, it's another project, and it's one that would require me, again, carving the space out for. And as an entrepreneur, one of the things you learn is before you take on a new project, you need to make sure that you have capacity.
Time. There's only the only thing we can spend and never get back. Everything else is replenishable, but time we lose and it's never going to come back. Sometimes it's used in a productive way. Sometimes we just throw it away, and you know what? No matter what, it's ticking away. So what you make with it is going to be the difference for the future. But lastly, what kind of experience have you had meeting some of these people? So the way you're describing them, I get the feeling these are people that you've looked up to, that you've admired. And I wonder if you didn't have a podcast, would you have otherwise been speaking to these people?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is what I love to do, period. This is so much fun for me. So yes, I love engaging with, talking to, connecting with every single one of my guests. A number of them are people who I know independent of the show, but a number of them are people who I'm connecting with because of 30-Minute Mentors. So it is a mix. But what I would say is that if you're doing something and you don't love it, if you're doing something and you don't have a passion for it, other people are going to realize that. Other people are going to figure that out. And I'm not a good enough actor to be able to pretend that I can do something well that I'm not passionate about. And neither are 99% of people out there. You've got to do what you love doing. You've got to do what you're passionate about doing. And for me, that's this. I've always loved connecting with all kinds of people. I've always loved learning from all kinds of people. In the case of 30-Minute Mentors, they're people who are household names or are leaders of household name companies. But in life, I just love connecting with anyone and everyone. I love this. This is a ton of fun for me, guys. And if this, other than the David Schwimmer clip, this has been a fun conversation. But, and if this wasn't being recorded, it would be just as fun.
Right. Well, here we'll give you I won't give you another one of those, but I'll just.
We almost had you.
Thought I was gonna drop another one, but instead, you know what? We almost had you. All right. You know what, Adam? Thank you very much, man. I've had a lot of fun getting to know you. I wish you a lot of success in your podcast. Seems like you're already crushing it with who you want to have on the show. And then the cool thing is, with COVID happening, you have like I spoke to somebody yesterday. or was it the day before yesterday? I don't remember who told me. I think it might have been Mark Savant that told me, reach out to whoever you want right now, celebrities, athletes, whatever. They have a lot of time on their hands and they're willing to do a lot of interviews. So the sky's the limit. It's only up to you, and whoever you decide to ask or not ask is the reason why you haven't got them on your show. So good luck. Thank you very much for coming on our show and taking the time out of your day.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the really fun conversation. Thank you to your listeners and to your viewers for taking the time to bear with me. For those of you who've had to look at me, for having to bear through that for the last half hour. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Adam.
Awesome.
Ladies and gents.
For the listening audience, Adam, could you tell the audience where to find you, where to find your information?
Absolutely. I try to make it as easy as possible. It's just my name, Adam Mendler. So you can find me at adammendler.com. You can find me on social media at Adam Mendler. So that's at Adam Mendler on Instagram, at Adam Mendler on Twitter. My podcast, 30-Minute Mentors, is all spelled out. You can find that at 30minutementors.com. You could also find it on your favorite podcasting app. So whatever podcasting app you're listening to this great podcast on, or if you're watching this podcast and you want to tune into your favorite podcasting app, whether that's iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, you name it, just type in 30-Minute Mentors, listen, subscribe, and hopefully enjoy.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gents, check it out. All right. Happy Wednesday. That's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the Business Bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the Insurance Bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation. Or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.com.